And actually, the perfect segue to the rival tier. And I want to pull this up really quickly because we'll get into the Boosted Boys and Befall game here in a second. A few teams actually going into the rival tier from Contender and struggling a little bit. We've got Aspire and Mythical, both 0-3 after very, very strong performances in Season 4.
Yeah, and that's just what you get with it, and with that adjustment period going up a tier. You might add a couple new faces to, help cement that jump up SR-wise to the next tier. But, I'm hoping that both of these teams still with a great opportunity to turn their seasons around. But I hope those are teams where when we go into, Season 6 and in seasons in the future, you keep that core together. You get used to how, your tiers games kind of play out, and then you're able to, make that gradual improvement, up and up and up the ladder into the top of the standings.
Yeah, and obviously the game we're going to bring to you, Befall and Boosted Boys, we've said that, but a much tighter game than I think the scoreline would have you believe. I think Boosted Boys kind of took them to task, but in the end it was a Befall 3-0 win, but what can you
do? Yeah, exactly. Just execution when it comes down to final fights, and sometimes when it comes down to overtime situations or late in a game when you get close to reaching that checkpoint or capping the point in general, you need a couple picks to go your way. It really, when you get to overtime, it becomes a, Overwatch, for being such a team-based, synergetic game. Really, in these overtime situations, it's all about who can make that play and get that big pick, or who can cause enough disruption to force a team off the point, which you see right here on Numbani down the stretch, as you see Reinhardt get a nice big pin there, and even with Shatter and stuff like that. That's where those maps can go either way, but if you get that big pick, you get that, boost, that knock off the point, that's really where it makes a difference, and that's the difference between a 2-1 win, a 3-0 win, and, games like that come right down to the wire.
Yeah, this one actually was one that went into kind of extra rounds, both teams able to cap the point in that first go, and then I think Befall, their team focus, we'll see it in the next clip here on Watchpoint Gibraltar, their team fire and just their aggression on attack just won them a lot of fights. I think they'll be the defending team, but coming through here, this ended up being really solid defense. They waited until the last possible second to contest this payload, came in with the Dragon Blade, were able to get 2 quick picks on the supports, and then just cleaning up a really good team effort. I think they only need to invest the 2 ults with the Valkyrie up, but they were able to staving off Boosted Boys here, and then on their subsequent attack here in overtime, the Reds coming through onto, that's the Roadhog, is able to get a kill, and then the hook right here, just to kind of finish it off for them. Really solid performance. A few straggling members try and come in, but it just wasn't going to be enough, and Befall ended up taking watch point as well. And again, the Hanamura game is the one that I was talking about. The Boosted Boys came out and did a really good job, but weren't quite able to get over the line. This is kind of the aggression I was talking about, though, with Befall just diving into that room and just eliminating as many members as possible, allowing the payload just to creep in behind them, and then it's kind of a foregone conclusion that they will cap the point, but a few straggling members maybe, but the Doomfist completely knocked out there, and they get the cap. So I think Boosted Boys put up a really good fights, and we saw extended rounds in a lot of these games, but it just wasn't quite enough to get them over the line. This, though, spectacular play, using the Symmetra turret, getting the Bastion up to the high ground, just started melting people, and then used an ultimate just to finish the job there. And Befall using some unique strats to take down Boosted Boys. This was actually in the 6th round there, looking for their 6 points. But really impressive from Befall. Definitely
so impressive to see stuff like that. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, just a really solid team focus and team fire. Definitely a team to watch out for in the rival tier, because they've been pretty solid.
Yeah, and you're really looking for a team in the Europe division, aka Talon, for rival to kind of make that claim like we're the team to beat in the tier. Paul's Rising with 8 map points, which is big. Befall now with 6, but even Boosted Boys and Uncia are there with 4 and 3 map points. So they're all still kind of there, although, the bottom 2 teams are 2 games back. But to me, I'm looking for either Befall or Apollo's Rising to really put their foot down on the rest of this division and make it their own. And I'm just interested to see which team out of really those 2 especially will be the team to do that.
Yeah, definitely an exciting game when it gets kind of in that direction. But you're right. The NA side, you've got the top 6 teams there with winning records. It kind of falls off there too a little bit. The Trash Can's kind of still in the mix, and losing a tight game against Shimada Armada. That was a 2-1 win for them that put Shimada up there in the second spot with 9 map wins and looking very solid. Actually, beating Kinetics on map wins, but Kinetics
not tasting that loss yet. And Shimada Armada versus Trash Cans was the only rival North American division game to take place this past week due to Hurricane Florence. So with those games that were postponed, 90% of the division only has 3 games played so far. So that's something where, if Kinetics somehow gets 3-0'd or they lose and only get a map win, that's, be right. Shimada Armada will be right there up top of the division with them. And Pride Stark has a chance, if they 3-0, to make it that a possible 3-way tie at the top of the standings. So these postponed games, especially in this tier, they're going to be interesting to watch to see how exactly they play out and where these standings end up figuring out going into after this week and the following week.
Yeah, and a couple interesting things too. We've got Aspire coming in, and like I said, in a difficult spot, 0-3 after they were promoted 7-1. Very, very strong team and contender last season. Maybe seeing rivals proving to be a little bit more difficult. Hopefully, they kind of get their feet under them and get some wins. It's definitely a good team, and I'd like to see them do well. It's kind of the same thing with Mythical, 5-2-1 in season 4 in the contender tier, 0-3 start. So those 2 promoted teams kind of looking for a little bit of a foothold in a very difficult tier. And it'll be interesting to see how well they do. Kinetics is staying in the rival tier, starting out 3-0 after a 2-6 finish in season 4. Impressive from them as well to start out really strongly here, and hopefully they're able to maintain that momentum. But yeah, I think rival tier is definitely heating up. We see North American sides there. Hopefully, with those games played, should shake up the standings pretty considerably.
It's just going to be interesting to see, how these games kind of score out, and if some of these teams at the bottom can get their footing and make that push, as we touched on multiple times here. Halfway through now, you're really looking to find your footing, and now you can turn that around and make that push. Even these teams with 2 losses, 3 losses, there's still a chance to where if you turn it around and get your team gelling at the right time, make that push, get those wins, keep stacking up those map wins, and at the end of the year, find yourself in that going into week 8 with the chance of getting in. That's all you can ask for.
Yep, absolutely.